Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Kavikakanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivadari Gaura Bhaktavarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kaulau Nastiva Gatiranyataham Mangalam Madhurebhyopi Mangalempyopi Mangalam Pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Saguru Sapita Chapi Samatabandhavusha Shikshichit Saraswatam Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. So reading from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajana Rahasya, first chapter, Pratham Yam Sadhana. Krishna Vanamtisa Krishnam Sangapangastapa Sadhan Yagyai Sankirtipaya Yajante Hisumedasa Bhajami Kali Pavanaha. So the introduction, a verse is there, the first verse, which is from the Bhagavatam except the last line. Instead of Yajantihi Sumedasaha, so he has mentioned Bhajami Kali Pavanaha. So taking shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the deliverer of the conditioned souls, the fallen souls of the age of Kali. Patita Pavana Hetu Tavavatar. And he has come with his associates and he has performed Sankirtan Yagya. So we have to take shelter of Sri Guru and then we take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we can hope to be able to take shelter of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so in the text, the previous verse, text number 7, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quoted 2 verses from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Adav Shraddha Tata Sadhusanga, from Shraddha to Prem. So the different stages are there. And actually this whole book is about these stages from Shraddha to Prem. Practically in each chapter he has is explaining about the different stages. So in text number 8 he's quoting from Katyayan Samhita, which is also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Varam huta vahajvala pancharanta vyavastitihi nashauri chinta vimukha jana samvasavaishasam. Whether I am burned by fire or remain engaged forever, I will never ever desire the association of those who are averse to Krishna. So the devotee is always trying to be in the association of other devotees, and that is very important. As Adavshada Tata Sadhu Sangha, first there has to be faith in the Supreme Lord in the process of devotional service. And then one has to take shelter of the devotees. As Rupa Goswami also is mentioning, Gurupad Ashray, taking shelter of the spiritual master, of the lotus feet of the spiritual master, that is absolutely required. That is the beginning, that is the first limb of devotional service. So whatever the situation may be there, the devotee who will never desire to associate with the materialistic persons, Nashori Chinta Vimukha. Nashori is referring to Krishna. And those who are Vimukh, who are not inclined towards Krishna, so they will never try to be in their association. Whatever the situation may be there in this material world, Varamutta Vahajvala, if anyone is engaged in an unfavorable situation and burned by fire, so figuratively, it's in the material world, difficulties are there. The tremors of material nature are there. But if one is in the association with the devotees, then there's a chance that one can become free from the difficulties of this material world. And therefore it is mentioned in the scriptures and the Vaishnava literatures that we should give up the association of materialistic persons. Asat Sanga Tyag, a Vaishnavachar. So that is a Vaishnav. His conduct that he will give up the association of those who are not Vaishnavas, a Vaishnav. And also again Rupa Goswami is explaining in the second verse of Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, which is that what is detrimental. So that is the association of materialistic persons. And even in the third verse is explaining, Rupa Goswami, that we should be enthusiastic in devotional life. We should be fixed, knowing what is the goal. We should be patient in the association of the Vaishnavas, execute devotional activities, but then we should give up unwanted association. And that is very important, to give up unwanted association, physically, or also, as explained before, even mentally. So there is no purport to this verse. So text number 9, from Vishnu Rahasya, one scripture, but also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Alinganam varam vanye vyala vyagra jalokasham na sanga shalya yuktanam nana devaika sevinam. It is better to live with or embrace a snake, a tiger, or an alligator than to associate with those whose hearts are filled with varieties of material desires and who worship various demigods. Yeah, of course, to live with a snake is not very much desirable, or with a tiger. We stay away from them. Of course, some of the snakes are maybe not so harmful, but still, usually we don't know if the snake is harmful or not, if it is poisonous or not. So we stay away from snakes. And so what to speak of tiger or alligator, because if you are in front of them, that they will consider that, oh, that is a good meal, and then you are finished. So, but here he's saying it is better to live with them or embrace a snake or tiger, and then to associate with those whose hearts are filled with material desires. So, in other words, it is better to die, and well, it's better to die if one has the proper consciousness, at least maybe then in next lifetime one can have good association. But if the association is not good, one will associate with these persons, then that consciousness will come to us also. That so many material desires will be in our hearts if we associate with those who have material desires. And then although we may be living in this world, but then it will be difficult to advance in spiritual life, or practically it is not possible to advance in spiritual life. So it is worse than death, practically. So in other words, he wants to say that, it is mentioned in this verse, it is better to die rather than be engaged in materialistic activities. And it is mentioned in the scriptures that the human form of life is meant for self-realization. And it is not meant for sense gratification. The human form of life is not meant for sense gratification. It is meant for realization, spiritual understanding, for realizing God, one's own spiritual nature, for engaging in the devotional service, to make advancement in spiritual life. Otherwise, Pashuhi Saman, one is just like an animal. The animal is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. If one is engaged in these activities, then one is no better than an animal. And that is not the purpose of human life. In human form, one has higher intelligence, but that should be used to make advancement in spiritual life. So we should accept what is favorable and reject what is unfavorable. And is also mentioned by Rupa Goswami, and also it is mentioned by Sanatana Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas. The 6 symptoms of surrender are there. Anukalyasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam gopritvevaram tatha rakshishasya vishvaso gopritvevaram tatha atmanikshepta karpanya sadvidam sharanagati. So the process of surrender is there. So first we have to accept what is favorable and reject what is unfavorable. We should have faith that Krishna will always protect us. And we should accept the guardianship of Krishna, that he will always help us in every way, so that we can spiritually advance, so we can live peacefully in this material world. Whatever is required, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chintan tamam yajanapaya pasate tesham nitya bhyoktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. We should, if you are constantly devoted to Krishna, so with faith, then Krishna will supply whatever we need. So, but specifically also here, it has been mentioned that Nana Devaika Sevinam, those who are serving the demigods, so we should also give up their association. Because usually those who are worshipping demigods, they are worshipping the demigods in order to to get some material benefit in order to be able to live nicely in this material world. So they worship the demigods so they may be able to satisfy the senses, so that their material desires may be fulfilled. So therefore it is recommended to stay away from those who are worshipping the demigods. Because ultimately also, the demigods, they cannot help us to advance in spiritual life unless one is taking shelter of Lord Shiva in a devotional mood, and Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava, is a great Vaishnava, Yatha Vaishnavam Shambhu, and is one Acharya of one of the Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and even Lord Brahma. So those who are respecting him, so they may also be benefited because he is the Acharya, the Adi Guru in our Sampradaya, but not the other demigods. So an example is given of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. So he was very much conscious of avoiding the association of materialistic persons. Sometimes he used to also lock himself up in the public lavatory, and he used to do bhajan there. So just that the materialistic persons, they used to not come and disturb him, and he considered that the order of the bathroom that is a better order than the materialistic concepts of the materialistic persons, and he was considered that is their mentality, that is that order, so to say, of the materialistic person is worse than the smell of which is there in the bathroom. So just to teach others, he was doing that. So much so that one time some of the devotees, they were requesting him to leave that dirty place and go somewhere else to do bhajan. But he said, no, I prefer to stay here. So by all means, one should give up the association of materialistic persons. And one should, of course, then it is understood that we have to associate with the devotees. Because without the association of the devotees, one will not be able to advance. And because as sadhaka, to simply be alone, that will not be possible. And that many times the acharyas have explained that trying to do solitary bhajan, that is not required in the age of Kali for ordinary persons. Just trying to be in a holy place and chant the holy names alone, that is very difficult, and it is only possible for those who are highly advanced. So basically, here explaining about giving up unwanted association, and that means that we should have the association of those who are spiritually advanced, those who have the same mood as we have, Swajatiya Bhaktas. And they should be more advanced also. And then we can benefit from their association, then we can advance. And text number 10. From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Tam nirvyajam bhajaguna nidhim pavanam pavananam sadarajan mati ratitaram uttama shlokamolim Prodhyam anta karana kuhare hanta yannama bhanur abhasopi kshapayati mahapataka dvantadharam. O reservoir of good qualities, just faithfully perform bhajan of Sri Krishna without duplicity. He is the supreme savior among all saviors, and the most exalted of those who worship with poetic hymns. When even a slight appearance of his name, which is like the sun, arises in the cave of one's heart, it destroys the darkness of great sins that are present there. So that refers to Namabhas, and the semblance of the pure name, Shuddhanam. So as we know, there are 3 stages of chanting the holy name, Abhasnam, and then the Namaparad, Abhasnam, and Shuddhanam. In the beginning stage, one is performing, of course, usually the devotees, when they're chanting the holy names and taking shelter of Hari Guru Vaishnav, they will try to chant without offenses, but due to conditioned nature, one is bound to commit some aparad. So therefore we have to pray to Spiritual Master and to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and one has to try to chant without offenses. Because if one is chanting with offenses, then he will not be able to advance nicely. So therefore sometimes we should recite the 10 offenses. What is the first offense?
Blaspheme the devotees.
Okay, speak loudly.
To blaspheme the devotees who are engaged in propagating the names of Hare Krishna.
Second offense?
To consider the names of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of names.
Third offense?
To consider Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
No. You know these offenses? No?
To disobey the orders of spiritual master.
Or there is a second part of that also. Consider him an ordinary person. Fourth offense?
To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in Persians of
the Vedic version, yeah. Okay, fifth offense? Is it they can hear when you're speaking?
Yes.
They can hear, okay. Next, the fifth? Okay. The fifth?
To consider the glories of Harinam to be an imagination.
Yes, to consider the chanting of the holy names to be exaggeration. Yeah. Okay, the sixth?
To give some interpretation, to give some other interpretation on the actual meaning of.
On the actual meaning of the holy names. Yeah, good. Okay, seventh? Okay, seventh?
To commit any, on the strength of holy names, to commit any sinful activities on the strength of holy names.
Yes, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names, thinking, oh yes, I can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then after that I can just smoke some beeries or drink a cup of wine. No problem, I continue chanting, I will be okay. That is not good. 8.
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered, or fruitive activities offered in the Veda Karmakanda section.
Yeah, okay, good. 9th. Okay, 9th. 9th.
To be inattentive while
No.
chanting.
9th.
To instruct a faithless person about the.
Yeah, yes. And the 10th offense.
To be inattentive while chanting.
And to maintain
Material attachment, even after hearing so many instructions on this matter. Yes. So it is an offense to be inattentive also. So to maintain material attachment and to be inattentive. So everyone who claims to be Vaishnav must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prem. So anyone who wants to be called as a Vaishnav, he wants to be addressed as a Vaishnav. Anyone who is thinking I'm a Vaishnav, so he has to avoid these 10 offenses. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also in another wonderful book of his, Jaiva Dharma, he also explained there nicely about these 3 stages of Paradhanam, Abhasanam and Chudanam. And he has explained that the devotee who is chanting with offenses, so is chanting Nama Parad, so is known as Prakrita Bhakta, is a materialistic devotee. And the devotee who is on the platform of Namabhas, who is chanting the semblance of the holy name, is chanting without offenses basically. And he is known as Bhakta Bhas, is a semblance of a devotee, is not really devotee yet. So what to speak of the neophyte devotee? Even one who is chanting Namabhas is a semblance of a devotee, is just trying to be a devotee. Is slowly but surely becoming a devotee. And the one who is chanting Shuddhanam, the Shuddha Bhakta, is actually a devotee. And so, therefore, of course, the pure devotee, even he doesn't think he's a pure devotee. He's just thinking, I'm trying to become a devotee. So that should be the consciousness. We are trying to become devotees. So we're putting on the Vaishnava dress, we're putting tilak, and then we're trying to have the proper consciousness. And we try to first of all be, as Prabhupada used to say, gentleman or gentlewoman, and then we can think of becoming a devotee. So Vaishnav is not so cheap to be called as Vaishnav, but we are humble and we are saying we're trying to be a Vaishnav, but we respect all the devotees as Vaishnavas. So, but here it is mentioned about Namabhas, that if one is chanting Namabhas, then the darkness of the heart, so that is destroyed, and the sins which may have been there from before, so they all destroyed. Whatever is remaining in the heart, slowly but surely it is destroyed, and one can experience Krishna. One can see Krishna slowly but surely in the heart. So when one is chanting Namabhas, and then one can perceive Krishna while chanting. So then Krishna, as Prabhupada used to say, Krishna is dancing on the tongue of the devotee who is chanting without offenses. And the more pure one is, the better one can then appreciate Krishna. One can see Krishna. But so on the stage of Namabhas, so Krishna is revealing himself. So therefore it is mentioned even when even a slight appearance of his name is there, so slightly Krishna is appearing, not fully manifested, but slightly appearing, then the darkness of the heart will be removed and one will be able to chant nicely. And that is the stage of Nam Ruchi, chanting with some taste and some affection, some love. And then one can chant practically continuously the holy names. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is also, he has in Bengali, he has given also commentary there. Param Pavan Krishna Tanara Charan Nishkapata Shraddha Sahakara Bhajan. So he's explaining that one should do a bhajan with faith and nishkapat, without duplicity. One should perform bhajan. And so taking shelter, Krishna Charana, taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, Param Pavana, so they are most purifying. So if you can remember the lotus feet of Krishna, then the consciousness will be purified. Yandara nama surya bhasa antare praveshi dhamsa kare mahapapa andhakara rashi. So by chanting then Krishna Nam, Surya Bhas, it is just like in the morning time, before the sun is even visible, before sunrise. So Surya Bhas is there, and because the sun is just about to rise, so therefore we can already see the things which are around, and so the darkness is gone. So similarly, when we chant Namabhas, then the heart is enlightened, and then so the darkness will be gone from the heart slowly but surely, and then the greatest Mahapap, and they will be destroyed. Ei Shikshashtaka Krishna Lila Krama, Yehate Bhajana Krama Lilara Udgam. So Shikshashtakam, so it's mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Krishna Lila Kram, so the pastimes of Krishna are unfolded by remembering also the Shikshashtakam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore in each of the chapters he has mentioned one shlok of Shikshashtakam, and he has mentioned one shlok of the Ashtakalya Lila of Krishna and Braj. And as we know, so the first part, so there's Nishanta Lila, Nisha Anta, the end of night. So they're starting with the first verse, Chetodarpana Mahajanam. So the consciousness becomes purified. Bhava Mahadavagni Nivapanam. So under the conditioned life actually will be destroyed. And then the transcendental knowledge will be revealed in the heart. And then one can experience so much transcendental happiness at every step. Of course, usually we have to hear about Krishna's pastimes also, and then we may remember while chanting also. So hearing Krishna Katha, that is important. Then we can remember. And so then the different pastimes are there. So Nishanta Lila. So Krishna is there in the Nikunja. And Radha Krishna there in the Nikunja Lila. And the gopis are there serving the divine couple. And so Nishanta, at the end of night, so they have to get up, they have to go back to their places. So, so by chanting the holy names, and then Bhajan Kram, Lila Rudgam, then slowly but surely then one will be able to sometimes remember this pastime. So pratame shloka bhaja kichudin, dvitya shlokete tabe hauta pravin. So by remembering for some day the first day, and then afterwards the second verse will be also realized. And then Chari Shloka Kramsha Bhajana Pakva Kara. Panchama Shloka Nija Siddha Devara. So Chari Shloka, then the third and fourth verse is there. Trinada Pisunichena. We have to be always very humble, and we have to be tolerant and respectful, and not desire anything of this material world. Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim. So when one is chanting in this consciousness, so therefore every day you recite Shikshashtakam, you know Shikshashtakam? Chaitodar Paramajanam? No? Okay. Trinada Pisunichena? Okay, that you have to learn slowly but surely, you know? You chant by heart, you know by heart? Okay, you chant every day? Okay, you're reading every day. Okay, yeah. So that is important, and then not only we should read, but we should meditate on the meaning also. And then, so then by doing that, so the first 4 shlokas, especially then, of course, as explained here, then the 3rd and 4th slok, when we are in this humble state of mind and very thinking ourselves very insignificant, not desiring anything of this material world, then our bhajan will be pakwa, will become ripe, will become proper. So pakwa means ripe. And then by Panchama Shloka, by chanting the 5th shloka, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Parinamam Vishami Bhavam Vado, Kripayatava Pankaj Astiturir Sarisham Vijintaya. So then the Nija Deha, Nija Siddha Deha, then one can understand one's actual position. That we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, we are very insignificant. And we want to be placed at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And then slowly but surely, and then well, of course, that is already when we realize the Siddha Day that we are practically perfect. But the beginning is there, one can realize more. When we are properly doing bhajan, of course, that will be described later on. So here just is writing the essence. What will happen if you are, so if you're always on the transcendental plane and the eternal sound of Krishna, and actually it is mentioned one should chant the holy names with Sambandha Gyan. I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. And then we chant Hare Krishna, and leaving the mind away. Okay, you can, whatever you want to say, you can do after that. We are not this body and spirit soul. Not identify with this body and what's happening in this world. So not so, easier to say than to do, right? So, because then we chant and then either one falls asleep in the beginning stage or one is remembering this person told me that and this is not good, that is not good. But we should forget these things and we should remember Radha and Krishna or Mahaprabhu and their associates and their pastimes. And then we can really advance nicely. Ei shloke siddhadeya radha padashray aramba kariya krame unati udai. And then when we realize that we are not this body, then Radha Pada Ashra, we can take shelter of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And our acharyas have explained that Radha Dasyam, ultimately. So that is our goal, to be always in that mood that I'm the maidservant of Srimati Radharani. Of course, so that is possible for those who are fixed and then as sadhaka, and then they are able to be transcendently situated. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi. And then they can take shelter of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So, as Raghunath Das Goswami is explaining also, in Raghunath Das Goswami is mentioning in Vilap Kusumanjali, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Sirupa Manjari Kartachita Padda Padma Gustendra Nanda Pujarpita Mastakaya Ha Maudata Kanaka Gauri Pada Ravindayo as what is it? Samvahami Sanakais Tavakim Karishye. Of course, they are also praying to Rupa Manjari, who is massaging the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, who is reclining on the lap of Krishna. So they are together morning time or noon time at Radhakund, or night time in the Kunja. And so Rupa Manjari is massaging the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, and then Raghunath Das as Rati Manjari is praying, so to be able to get the remnants of that service also, to be able to serve the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And of course we know that that Rati Manjari is also serving the lotus feet. But so is reciting these verses in the mood of separation from Srimati Radharani for our benefit, so we may pray in this way, so we may desire, so then this desire may come in our heart, Radha Pada Ashray, taking shelter of the lotus feet. So by chanting and then remembering these verses, then Unnati Uday, then there will be some elevation will be there. So, but it takes some time. Or also one other verse, Padabja Tava Vinavaram Dasaneva, Nanyapi Kadapi Samaye Kiladevi Yashe, Sakyaya Te Mama Namaste Namaste Nityam, Dasyaya Te Mama Rasasta Rasasta Sattvam. Ranganath Das Goswami also there explaining in Vilap Kusumanjali. So I'm desiring to, and only one blessing I want, so that is to be able to serve the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And I do not desire anything else. And then also in which mood? And he's saying, no, there's a Saki, but I'm offering obeisances to the mood to the position of a Saki. But I'm taking the greatest pleasure in being Dasi, being accepted as a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So, Chaya Shloka Bhajite Anata Dura Gela, Tabe Jana Siddha Deha Adhikara Haila. And by the sixth, by crying in separation, or Nayanam Galada Sudhara Yavaranam Gadgada Rudaya Gira, chanting with tears coming from the eyes, and a voice choking up. Of course, that is already advanced stage, and tears are coming from the eyes. And then Anartha Dura Gela, so then the Anathas will be practically gone. So as we know, Anatta Nivriti is there, and then Nishta Ruchi, but even there, some Anathas are there, but they are very less, and the devotee is not so much disturbed by them, but something is still there. But then on a Sakti platform, and then so practically it is nil. And then the actual realization of the form, the transcendental form, as a gopi, as a gop, so then the qualification will be there to be able then to realize, if you are chanting with feelings of separation and with transcendental emotions, then we may be blessed, and that is the highest blessing if we can realize our transcendental form. And then we can really engage in the transcendental loving exchange of Krishna. Adhikarana labhya siddha deha bhave viparyaya buddhi janme shaktira abhave. Adhikarana labhya siddha deha bhave. If one is not attaining that the qualification for the siddha deha or this mood, then viparyaya buddhi, then so the opposite will be attained. So then the material consciousness will be there. So one has to be praying for being able to come to this stage. But it will take some time to be able to attain that. Savadane kramadara yadi siddhi chao, sadur charita deki shuddha buddhi pao. So therefore here it is, he's mentioning also savadhane, we have to be very careful. And trying to obtain this platform of siddhavasta. So we should desire that. Krama dhara yadi siddhi chao. And then also sadhura charita deki shuddha buddhi pao. And then we should see the lives of the advanced devotees, how they are executing their devotional service. So by hearing from the advanced devotees about the previous acharyas and then seeing how the advanced devotees are performing devotional service, then we can get this Shuddha Buddhi, the Sadha Buddhi, the transcendental intelligence by which we can be firmly situated and advance nicely. And then Siddha Deha Paye Krame Bhajana Karile Ashtakala Seva Sukha Anayasa Mile. And then when we get the Siddha Deha by this performance of bhajan, krame, gradually, so it is not from one day to the other day, it will take a long time and we have to slowly but surely try to enter the higher levels, slowly but surely. And then after that, then Ashtakala Seva Sukha, then we can get this transcendental bliss of being able to understand and see the pastimes of Krishna with his associates, especially the gopis, according to Ashtakalya Lila, during the day and night, what Krishna is doing in Golok Vrindavan, or even when he's here, of course. And then Anaya Zamile, we can very easily get that if you're on a higher level. When you're on the lower level, you cannot get that. Even so, we don't even have to endeavor much to try to remember the pastimes during the day and night. It will not be possible to remember or relish that. But if one is pure in consciousness, then automatically it will be really revealed. Shistashtaka Chinta Kara Smarana Kirtan Krame Ashtakala Seva Habe Udipan. So therefore every day you should recite Shikshashtaka Chinta. So he's saying, so we should remember this Shikshashtakam. So yeah, you should learn Shikshashtakam prayers. And then we should do Kirtan constantly and remembrance. So by hearing, first you have to hear, of course. And then we can do Kirtan, then Smarana comes. First we hear, then we chant, and what we have heard we can recite, we can tell others, and then we can more easily remember. And then after the desire will be there in the heart, and one will get inspiration to remember or to see the pastimes, or deepen there. Just like, for example, so that means what is the word now? Deepen again in English. Stimulation, stimulants, things which are stimulating the bhav. Just like, for example, when you see a peacock, what do you remember? Why?
Because Krishna is wearing.
Yeah, he's wearing a peacock feather. Yeah, and even if somebody is walking around, and even you see sometimes devotees, of course they do kirtan and chanting Mahamantra, and then in the beginning stage we cannot always remember Krishna, but maybe we remember Mahaprabhu is chanting into the chanting of the holy names. But then sometimes you can see the devotees that they have the flutes and they bring the flute out. You see the flute immediately, oh, Krishna is playing the flute. Even sometimes other people also, they may play the flute. May not, some bhajan sandhya, they're playing flute, and not maybe directly bhajans about Krishna. Maybe they may have their bhajans or just classical music may be there, but when we see the flute, then we remember Krishna. We see any river, we remember either Jamuna or Ganga river, even it may be another river. So these are deepen. So then we can remember Krishna. So if the proper consciousness is there, we hear about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, then we can remember Krishna. And we hear, then eventually we may be able to hear about the pastimes of Krishna throughout the day and night, but not in the beginning. First you have to read the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. But then afterwards, maybe read other books, Govinda Lilamrita, Krishna Bhavanamrit. So, even Prabhupada has mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in one purport, and the devotees, the advanced devotees, they relish reading or hearing Krishna Bhavanamrit, which is about the Ashtakala Leela. And then when you read, then you can remember. Otherwise, if you don't hear or read, then how you can remember? How you can know what Krishna is doing? So therefore we have to hear about Krishna, Krishna's pastimes. But step by step, I mention again, always a few times is writing here, krame, kram. So in sequence, so I mean, step by step we have to do the hearing. We cannot jump immediately hearing about the Ashtakala Leela. So first we have to read the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then other books may be there. Yeah, that's why we're reading Bhajana Rahasya. Then after, may be able to read more. Sakala anata jabe pave premadan chatur varga falgu praya habe adarshan. And so then, so all the anathas, when they are gone, when all the anathas are gone, then pave premadan, then you will get the wealth of prem. Chaturvarga, Falgu Praya, Habe Adarshan. And Chaturvarga, so that refers to Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, and then one will realize that this is completely insignificant. But usually, the materialistic persons or even those who accept the Vedic culture or sometimes even Vaishnava culture, but in the beginning, so they're doing dharma in order to get artha, to get some benefit also, in order to be able to live peacefully in this world and have a nice house and have wealth and family. And then kama, then one can, then there's some sense gratification. But then after some time one will realize that is the pleasure which is there, it is not permanent, and there's some happiness and then there's stress. So therefore then the desire will come for mukti, for moksha, for liberation. But that is not everything ultimately, but to become free from the cycle of birth and death, or to be free from the miseries. That is simply the side effect of engaging in devotional service. So what is actually required is to attain bhakti in devotional service. So, and when the anathas are gone, and then when prem is achieved, then automatically this religiosity and economic development, sense gratification, and desire for liberation, that will appear actually very insignificant. And when we understand it is falgu, it is not desired. And otherwise, if one does not have, if one is not advanced in spiritual understanding, if one is not coming to the highest stage of pure devotional service, if bhav, or what to speak of prem, but first of all bhav should come. If bhav is not there, then, or of course asakti, if one is on the platform of asakti, one is attached to Krishna, detached from the material world, and then one is properly situated. But otherwise, it is not possible to become free from desires for sense gratification. But the more one is advanced, the more it becomes practically, so to say, distasteful, this material sense gratification. And the devotees will never desire anything of this world. So by coming to the platform of Namabhas, then automatically, one will not desire anything of this material world, and this Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha will be very insignificant. One will not desire that. And then one will actually desire to advance more in spiritual life and to become completely pure. If one is on the platform of Namabhas, and the platform still, one will understand that I have to go even further. Then one has to be in the good association, and as explained here, give up unwanted association. And then one has to pray and cry out to Guru, Gauranga and Krishna, so one may become firmly situated and then come to the highest stage. And then sometimes one can chant Chudanam. And afterwards, so when Chudanam is there, then Krishna will be fully revealed. But even there, so from the platform of Namabhas, so sometimes the devotee then on Namabhas on the highest stage, he will chant Chudanam for a little while. So it means Krishna will appear as he is, but then again he will disappear. And the devotee is chanting in separation and crying, so that Krishna may appear again. And on the platform of Shuddhanam, then Krishna is practically always present. And then one can see the pastimes of Krishna, one after the other. And when Krishna is disappearing, the devotee is crying, feeling so much separation, crying, and then Krishna will appear again. So here in this, so he has explained briefly about this Sikshashtakam and the different stages from Shraddha to Prem. So joyfully one should perform bhajan of Krishna. So without duplicity, that is important. Nishkapat bhav should be there. But we can see that many times devotees are chanting in the beginning stage, and then some duplicity is there, and then desire for name, fame and glory will be there. But that is detrimental, and one cannot advance. So therefore he has mentioned here, without duplicity. So but not so easy to give up. Just 2 days ago, actually two devotees came to me explaining about these things. Oh yes, we are performing devotional service, but still then one devotee was expressing, but still then the feelings, then this, and the pure consciousness is not there, and then one wants some position, and so it is not so easy to give up. But one has to try to give up, and so one has to control the emotions. So with as mentioned here also, Shuddha Buddhi, Sadha Buddhi, transcendental intelligence, one should try to get in the association of the sadhus, or seeing the charita, the example of the advanced devotees, then we may also imbibe that mood. But then sometimes the devotees, and then it was very interesting. And then just a little while later, there were two devotees and another devotee expressing the same thing. And And then they're also saying that actually we left everything in this material world, we come to Krishna consciousness. But then we see still these things may be there. Some duplicity may be there. And the desire for name, fame and glory. And then it appears to be worse than in the material world. But actually it is not, it is just the impurities are coming out, and one has to try to transcend, and one has to try to see that these are the impurities there which are coming. It may be in us or maybe in others. So we should do bhajan without duplicity. And by taking shelter of Krishna, name of Krishna. And so Krishna is the supreme savior. So who else can save us than Krishna? Of course the spiritual master is there, he can also save us, but otherwise nobody is there who can save us. And therefore we have to cry out to Krishna, to the spiritual master. As Raghunath Das Goswami also saying, Manashiksha, cry out. So even the path of bhakti, so it is like the royal road, like the expressway is there. Even now, of course, the road from Agra to Delhi is also quite good. 3 lanes are there. Before, 40 years ago, there were only 2 lanes. One going towards Delhi, one going to Agra. And then there was a traffic jam. Always we had to go to Delhi, and then we knew at one place where the checking, and then especially the trucks, and they had to pay tax or something, and so much traffic jam always. And you have to wait a few hours there. It was quite something, then like 5-6 hours to go to Delhi and say to come back. You remember? Gosh. Now highway is there, so even both sides, and yeah, so quite something. But now highway, expressway, or this one here, and sometimes a little jam is there, but not so much. And so it's quite smooth. But even if it is smooth on the highway, and even when that time also there were robbers there. So nighttime, therefore, we were not traveling, but still sometimes you're stuck, and then we are trembling. Hopefully the robbers are not coming. And if you reach home, okay, we reach home. We didn't get robbed either, but sometimes devotees got robbed on the way. It was the highway, Agra, Delhi highway, but only 2 lanes, one going to Delhi and one going to Agra. But now it's really highway. But still sometimes we hear that some thieves are coming there, even an expressway, because there are not so many cars are there, so nighttime, better not to travel. So still you have to be careful also on the highway, and so you have to. So Bhakti Marg is like the highway. It's very, you can go very fast. So obstacles are there, but not so much, and you can go very fast. But you have to be careful, because the robbers are there. The difficulties are there, and if you're not careful, then you get stuck. And the accidents may be there. Also the highway accidents are there. So you have to be careful. So Krishna is the only savior. Okay, we stop here. Any questions? Yeah. A few questions. Okay.
I mean, regarding this class.
Okay.
So, one question is that so Namabhas, we can reach Namabhas only at the stage of Ruchi, when we have Ruchi, or before Ruchi also can we chant? And how does it feel like when we are chanting Namabhas?
Great.
So
the mind is not disturbing so much.
So,
it feels good, no? What do you think?
So,
just hearing about that, no?
So is it like if we are chanting offenselessly,
yeah.
What does it mean when we say that chanting offenselessly? Like, does it mean that chanting attentively, remembering Guru Gauranga Krishna for all the rounds continuously?
Yeah, when you chant without offenses, then practically you can always feel the presence of Guru, Gauranga Krishna. and the mind cannot say much.
For all the rounds.
Yeah, of course, all the rounds, yeah.
One or two, we can remember, but then we forget. And
yeah.
So not so. And also for.
Yeah,
so,
if you're Namabhas, practically all the rounds are good. And Nabaparad, all the rounds are bad. Maybe sometimes half a round is good or one round is good, then you're okay. But that's how it is. In the beginning, all the rounds are bad. And then after half a round is good, and sometimes one round is good. And then you feel, oh, great, right? And then, so that means the offenses are getting cleared. And then after becomes 2 rounds are good and 14 are bad, then 3 rounds are good, and like this it will increase slowly but surely.
So, so Namabhas will come first, after that Ruchi will arise for now, right? How does it go, the things?
How it goes, Namabhas and Ruchi. Yeah.
So first
well, basically, you have to be free from offenses on a platform of Namabhas, then Ruchi will be there. Okay. Real Ruchi. Otherwise, sometimes you may get some taste, but it will not be permanent. It will just be a little bit of some taste here and there. And then will not stay. But on platform of Ruchi, it is practically all the time you can feel transcendental pleasure, or and then of course then there's transcendental feelings of separation are there. But still you're chanting and then you're crying out to Krishna. So, like that. And?
Okay,
it's clear, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
You said that you should not associate with materialistic people.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially the worshippers of demigods.
Yes.
So, sometimes your family members or your parents or
yes.
your in-laws are not, worshippers of, they are worshippers
of the demigods. Yes. So, what to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean by not associating with?
Yes. Yes, of course, we have to be practical and we have to see time, place and circumstances. So if your parents, they are still worshipping the demigods and then you cannot just give up their company and say, no, worshipping demigods, I cannot see them anymore. No, that you cannot do. Because a relationship is there and you have to continue with that relationship. You have to be thankful to them because they helped you. To grow up, and so you're practically, you may say, indebted to them, and then you come to bhakti must be previous impressions by good fortune, you're adopting devotional service, and then you understand the things clearly, what to do and what not to do, and then what you can do because they are your parents or your relatives. And you cannot give up that company or you cannot give up that relationship. But what you have to do, you have to try to, first of all, you may, in a humble way, try to explain to them about the superiority of worshipping Krishna. And but they may not readily accept it. And so, but you have to do it also in a very sensitive way. And for example, sometimes you have seen devotees who become fanatical. Oh no, we should not worship the demigods. And then they go home. Why are you worshipping Durga? And we should just take out Durga Devi, and then actually becomes offense to because Durga Devi, she's a Devi. And you cannot do that. Because who are we? We are still inferior than Durga Devi or Lord Shiva or even Ganesh. We are nothing in comparison to Ganesh. Ganesh is always holding the lotus feet of Nishingadev on his head. Yeah, and so they're great personalities, and but some misconceptions sometimes are there, we can see. And we have to stay away from them, they're worshipping the demigods and they have to go. No, it's not like this. We have to respect the demigods, and otherwise you can also not advance even in spiritual life. Even you take shelter of Krishna, but you cannot fully take shelter of Krishna if you're disrespecting, especially the demigods, Because we are controlled by the demigods. Also, without the sun and the moon, we cannot live. We have to actually be thankful to them. But we don't have to make a separate endeavor of worshipping them, but we have to respect them as a devotee also. And the devotee is supposed to respect everyone, even the jiva and the ant body, what to speak of the demigods. So, but then, so we have to understand the things properly. So the parents or the family members, if they are still worshipping the demigods, so you should not, you may explain to them, try, and they may be also able to then, after some time, understand, but if not, then you don't disturb them. Even in the Gita, Krishna is saying that we should not disturb those who are doing karma, and those who are, but we may try to help them to come to a better understanding. And so, but at least they are accepting the demigods, so that is already something. They are accepting superior authority. But then we may then not worship them, and we may explain that, but we may offer obeisances to them. Even you can offer a flower to the demigods, no problem, but we are not worshipping elaborately the demigods. But we should respect them always. So then we respect those who are worshipping the demigods also. And if they are family members, then we cannot just be away from them. That is not possible. We have to still maintain the relationship and be nice to them. And then by being nice to them, then there's a chance, and then we can give them Krishna Prasadam. And by giving them Krishna Prasadam and just saying Hare Krishna, and then they will get the benefit also, and then eventually they will also become devotees by that. But it may take time, but you don't have to worry about that. But you be a nice person, and but then you have your own life, and then you worship Krishna, but you should not disrespect them, especially your family members. But others, if you see others worshipping the demigods, then you may just be formal to them, and you don't have to associate with them. But with the family members, that association, that you should not give up. But you be yourself and you worship Krishna, and then you see the demigods in their house, and you do pranam to the demigods, no problem. You have to. It is just a common sense, actually. Huh? What? Yeah, of course. Yeah, all the Vaishnavas, even Sanatana Goswami offering obeisances to Lord Shiva especially, but others also. All the demigods we have to respect. They're great personalities. Even let's say you have a politician is coming, like we had yesterday, one High Court, Supreme Court judge is coming. Then he maybe not be a devotee, or he was not wearing tilak, he didn't have a kanti mala, he didn't have devotional cloth, he didn't have a bead bag. But still, Supreme Court judge, then the police was coming, and you have to respect him. And then of course the devotees are there, PR, Public Relations Department, then they're giving him a garland and giving him prasadam and respecting him. We have to. What to speak of the demigods, the politicians here anyway, even the Prime Minister is less than Ganesh, right? Less than Shiva, Durga, any of the demigods. So we have to respect them, and we give them due respect, but we worship Krishna. But then the persons who are worshipping them, they have many material desires. And then so we may just keep distance from them. Because they are not, and they are just wanting to live happily in this world, and they engage in such gratification. And the demigods, they may reciprocate and give them material benefits. But ultimately also the Supreme Lord is sanctioning that also. They are not independent. So they have to be respected, the family members, even if they are worshipping the demigods. But then you have your own life, that's all.
You were just mentioning the 5th shloka from Shikshashkara. get your Siddhadeha.
Yeah, some revelation is there.
Some revelation
Yeah.
is there, and then you can chant.
Yeah.
You can chant the pure Nam.
Yeah. Or Abbas Nam is there.
You can
Yeah.
come to that higher practice
Yes.
where you can remember Krishna and you can
Right.
do more. So, but before that, before shlokas,
Yeah.
how one should chant to go to that fifth shloka, because it's not easy.
Not easy, no.
So how shall we go about to reach to the fifth shloka?
Yeah. And yeah, so first of all, by chanting the fifth shloka every day. Yeah, of course we're doing every day.
4 shlokas every day.
Yeah, now we're chanting all of them, and but just by doing that every day, but then of course you have to make a conscious effort to, and therefore is mentioned we should chant with Sambandha Gyan, that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, and so that should be there. We have to chant with Sambandha Gyan, so we have to remember as much as possible that we are not this body, we are spirit soul.
One thing, I want to just stop it there.
Yeah.
This is a general description of Sambandha.
Which one?
That
What?
we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, we are soul,
Yes.
Krishna. But
Yes.
actually, what means Sambandha? Because this is a general thing.
Yeah, that is general, but first you have to start with the general. First you have to start with the general understanding, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. And then afterward, when you come to the second stage of Abhideya Gyan, when you're properly engaged in devotional service, then afterwards the sambandh may be more realistic. That is actually then when you realize that what is your relationship with Krishna. And then...
Relationship as a servant or as a in 5 rasas?
Well, in the 5 rasas, that is a real relationship. Because as a servant, that is the ordinary Sambandha Gyan. I'm the servant of God. I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, I'm servant of God. That is a sadhaka, that is just the beginning. But in beginning, you have to start with the beginning. I mean, if you're on the platform of Vanata Nivriti, then you cannot think about the relationship with Krishna, the rasa. So that is only when you have the Siddhadeha that it means that actually you realize your relationship, your sambandh with Krishna, and in the one of the rasas. But that is only when you are, ruchi or the sakti. Actually, usually these are shakti when you realize your sambandh with Krishna. But in the beginning we say Sambandha Gyan also means I'm the servant of Krishna, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. So with this sambandha, you should chant. Because in the beginning you don't know what is your sambandh, actual sambandh with Krishna. It's not possible to know. So you have to chant with this sambandha, I'm the servant of Krishna, I'm the spirit soul. That is known Sambandha Gyan. That is sufficient. And then you can chant more nicely, and then so that is the 5th shlok that refers to that Sambandha Gyan, not the other one. That is the 6th shlok actually is mentioning there that in the purport in this Bengali there is writing. So the 5th and Siddhadeha, so Panchama shloka Nija Siddhadeha Bhara. So that the 5th, and you actually start understanding that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. And then after Chaya shloka, then Siddhadeha Adhikara Haila. Then actually on the 6th, then it's Ruchi done. Then the Adhikara qualification will be there, that you may be able to perceive your Swarup, what is your relationship with Krishna. So that is on the highest stage, Nayam Galadashu Dharaya. And then, so that when you are really able to cry in separation or chant with Nam Ruchi, and then it is possible that it may be revealed. But not before that, not in the 5th verse. That is only the general Sambandha Gyan is there. I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, I'm spirit soul. And I would like to be situated at the lotus feet of Krishna or Mahaprabhu. But that is the beginning stage, that, from this, then there's a possibility of realizing your Swarup. If you are on a bodily platform, the Atma Buddhi is there. we define with this body, even as a devotee, aham mameti is there, I and my, when one is conditioned. I am whatever, I'm book distributor, or I'm the president, I'm head pujari, whatever. I'm a good devotee, or so still, and this is mine, these are, sometimes you have seen also, these are my children, and then, so, I want to say, but like for example, Prabhupada Abhishek, Prabhupada Tirobhavtiti, only Prabhupada disciple were allowed to bathe Prabhupada because, there's so many devotees, but we cannot allow everyone because limited space and so therefore we had always only Prabhupada disciple bathing. And then, but then sometimes we had some Prabhupada disciples, children, and then Prabhupada disciples, well, they are my children, so they also Prabhupada disciples practically. I mean, so we don't want to say, but still you can see sometimes aham mameti is there, I and mine, and then being something special. So it is very subtle. So even as a devotee, we have to be careful. And of course, when you have your own children, and then there's more, affection is there for them than other children. But at the same time, also we have to be careful and respect others also, and be careful of this aham mameti principle, and try to not just think about ourselves, but think about others also, and respect everyone, and seeing everyone as servant of Krishna. So it is very, very subtle, and we have to be always careful. So therefore is mentioned also Savadan. So if you want to attain this perfection, we have to very carefully engage in devotional service and be careful. Otherwise, because sometimes this unwanted things may come. So even if one is already a little more advanced, but then it may come, and then even if one is platform Nishta Ruchi, then sometimes if one is not careful, then some offense may be there, and then one is again coming to a lower stage. So therefore he's writing here also one has to be careful.
So what about the chanting?
The chanting?
Chanting should be in the beginning, because afterwards, once you have ruchi and asakti, like you are saying that the pastimes automatically come, we don't have to force ourselves.
Yes.
So in the beginning when you're chanting, you almost have, not almost, you have to force sometimes to think about Krishna.
Yes.
Think about whatever you're reading, because otherwise mind goes in.
Yeah, yes.
So, but it's not always like he was saying, 1 round you can do, 2 rounds you can do. Yes. So how you continue with that we can always, like we can do more and more.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy.
No, I mean, you see, the thing is you can also not force.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you have to chant and hear, and then so the main thing is you chant and hear. But at the same time, because Krishna Nama no different, you're supposed to see Krishna. And you're supposed to see the pastimes ultimately, because Krishna is never alone. And Hare refers to Radharani, so Radha Krishna there, but they're never alone. So while you're chanting, you're supposed to remember ultimately Krishna's associates, and the pastimes. So therefore, but we have to concentrate on the chanting and hearing, but then we have to also pray, and first of all, you have to pray to the spiritual master, because without the spiritual master you can never attain Mahaprabhu or Krishna. And so you endeavor and you pray to the spiritual master while chanting also, because yes, we chant and hear, but we are not trying to merge into the Brahmajyoti and the nothing. Not that we chant and hear and nothing should be there. Now we cannot think of anything. Sometimes some devotees say also, oh no, not thinking anything, just chanting and hearing. But it's like, merging into... No, it's not possible. It's like merging in the void, being in the Brahmajyoti. Now we have to chant and hear, and then, but not to think is very difficult. Not to think. And the Mayavadis, they have great difficulties. not to think, but sometimes they can, and they can merge in the Brahmajyoti, but which is not, which we don't want, that is not desired. And then again is a conditioned state, spiritually conditioned, spiritual liberation, free from material world, but it is a spiritual conditioning, and from there we are coming anyway. So, but then therefore we have to pray to Guru, and then we can pray to Gauranga, and then we can try to remember the holy dham, and so some thoughts. So we can pray, and we can try to think of what we have heard, what we have read about Mahaprabhu, about Krishna, and but at the same time also we cannot force and just try to be always thinking, because it will not be possible.
So in that sense, that sometimes you can force to think about all these things.
Yeah, to some extent you have to make an endeavor, but you cannot force. You have to endeavor to remember Guru, Guru and Krishna, and to have nice thoughts, and then you have to endeavor for that, but we cannot force it.
If you will not force it, then I'll fail every time. I mean, I'm endeavoring. I endeavor, and we endeavor to the best of our abilities, but because it's a long round, basically, like.
It's a long round, yeah.
Yeah,
108 times the Mahamantra is long round, yeah.
I remember Guru,
Yeah.
Guru Parampara, and then because I have not heard so much about Krishna, so which I can remember for all of the rounds, and then things are over, then I have to force it. Otherwise I will just then think of.
Yeah, you see, you have to have a kind, just like, for example, during the day externally, you're going to wake up your deities at home, or maybe go to the temple. We have a kind of schedule. So even for the mind, you have a kind of, you must have some kind of schedule. For the rounds, yeah. A schedule for the rounds, how you can, like meditate. Okay, first round I remember Guru. Second round, maybe I try to remember and pray to Rupa Goswami. And then I try to remember Mahaprabhu. I pray to Vrindavan Dham. I pray to Vrinda Devi. I pray to Govardhan, and like this. So you must have a kind of program, and then you can recite some verses maybe also. If you remember some verses, or you can meditate on the Shikshashtakam, some verses in glorification of the holy name. So you have to use the intelligence, and then have a kind of program for the mind, for the consciousness, so you can chant nicely. And then even, because the mind is very flickering, and then, it's good to sometimes change the program. Because otherwise the mind will be, and then it will be difficult to overcome the mind, because mind would always want some change. And then the consciousness will be a kind of, dragging also, if you try to do every day the same. And so variety is good also for the consciousness, for the chanting. And so in this way also you have to, like for example, even you have to beat the mind sometimes, and with a sure, with a stick. But it is even better is to have some positive thoughts. Like you have a child, you cannot always beat the child. No, but you have to speak to him nicely. And then encourage, and then you have to also break your brain, right? How to engage the child, right? Isn't it? Especially if you have 2 or 3. Okay, you have to, what to do with this one and that one. And then, not every day. You cannot tell him every day you sit down, now you do this. Okay, you have this aeroplane toy. Every day the aeroplane toy. No, I want something else. Then you have to get a car. Then you have to get a boat, and you have to have then you have a parrot which is talking, and in this way you have to try to engage the small boy and girl, and then now you have to do something else, maybe some play is there, you have to really break your head to engage the children. Otherwise they just cry and they make you crazy. They make you crazy. So similarly, you have to engage the mind in a positive way, and you cannot just beat the child. Otherwise he will be spoiled and he will revolt also. So same with the mind, you cannot just beat, okay, be quiet. No, that will not work. Then he will become more strong, the mind. He will take the stick and he'll beat you. And you'll be finished. So you have to trick the mind. You have to have different things for the mind. Okay, here today you can think about that. Tomorrow about something else. Of course you need many things, 16 rounds, right? And long rounds. You must have a lot of things to give the mind. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tomorrow a surprise, something new. Okay, something new. Okay, that sounds good. So you have to trick the mind. Okay?
You can read and listen also.
Well, but yeah, a little bit. But you know, you have to chant and hear, mainly. But then it's better to remember what you have heard, or to remember the deities, like that. That is better than just chanting and reading. But sometimes if nothing is there in the brain, and you're just exhausted, and then you have to still do something for the mind, and okay, you take a book, and then you look just open the book, okay, this is nice. Just something, and then you read something, and then you can continue. So you have to just...
But you can also have some very nice shlokas and just...
Yeah. Now even Prabhupada is mentioning one place, you can try to recite the verses of Bhagavad Gita. But you know, for us even better, you have nice verses in glorification of Mahaprabhu or Krishna. And because Krishna Nama no different, you chant Hare Krishna, you're chanting and hearing, and then you chant Dibya Brindara Kalpa Drumada with your mind. And then, when you see Dibya Brindara Kalpa Drumada, then immediately the picture is there of Vrindavan, Radha Govinda, and served by the Shakis and the Manjaris. So therefore the shlokas are there. And even Dhyan Chandra Goswami is writing in this book, he has a book, Gaur Govinda Archana Smarana Padati. It's about deity worship, but a little more and refer for those who are doing Raganuga Bhakti. And there is mentioned in this one verse we should recite before chanting. What is it now? Dhyayan Vrindaran Ramya. What is it? Dhyayan Vrindaran Ramya. Gopa Gopir Alankrite Kadamba Padabatale Jamanu Jala Shitale. Radha Saitam Krishnam Vamsivanam Tatparam Tribangalaritam Devam Bhaktanugraha Karakam. You don't know this verse? Yeah. So, Dhyayan Vrindaran Yaramya. In beautiful Vrindavan, in the forest of Vrindavan, Gopa Gopir Alankrite. In the CC? I'll try this. WhatsApp group. This verse. Yeah. Dhyayan Vrindaran Yaramya. Dhyayan, remember, in the beautiful Vrindavan forest. Gopa Gopir Alankrite. Decorated by the gopas and the cows. What is it? Alankrite Kadamba Padapatale. Under the Kadamba tree. Jamuna Jala Shitale. Next to the Jamuna, where there's a Shital Diya Samir, a breeze is there. The cooling Jamuna river is there. Radha Saitam Krishnam. And so Krishna is there, Radha Saitam Krishna, together with Radharani. Vamsi Vadana Tatparam, always adept at playing the flute. Tribanga Lalitam, Devam, is the Lord of the Lords, Deva, and his threefold bending form. Bhaktanugraha Karakam, always ready to give the mercy to his devotees. Karakam means he's giving himself or through his devotees also. So if you chant that verse, so that is good before chanting Maha Mantra, or while you're chanting the Maha Mantra. So, and then you chant this, then the picture is there of Krishna and with Radharani playing the flute, threefold bending form, and the gopas and then the gopis are there, and the cows are there at the bank of the Jamuna. So then you have the meditation. Yeah, Jaitam Suruto Pango, Dibya Brindaran Kalpadroma, these verses you can chant. Kasturi Tilakam Lalata Patali Vaksastali Kostavam. Rivaramuktikam karatali venu kankanam sarvanga harichandanam sulitam kante chamuktavali gopastri parivestito vijayate gopala churamani. So you can chant these verses while chanting also. And then, then everything is fine. Jai. Okay. Okay, it's 10 to 8. Yeah, then the long run becomes very short. And then you see, wow, already finished my 16 rounds. Otherwise, if you're not there with some ruchi, then one round is like one yuga, thousands of years. So like this, yeah. So your rounds are a little long, huh? And you just continue, and then it will become short and shorter and shorter. Okay? Okay, yeah.
Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano